With everyone in our houses craving any form of socialization, Animal Crossing New Horizons came at the perfect time. We can socialize with our friends online or just with the animal villagers. We can de-stress by fishing or watching for falling stars. And something pretty useless but surprisingly entertaining, we can give our characters titles. Of course, these can be serious, but almost everyone I know is doing something silly for their title. Some are repetitive, like animal animal or friendly friend. Some are ironic, like pro rookie and weak muscle. Others take a more edgy route or give a subtle hint to their fandom. But I am a linguist, so I couldn't simply look at this incredibly vast expanse of possible word combinations without desperately needing to analyze it. New Horizons provides us with all types of adjectives and nouns. We've got some participles, some two-word phrases, some hyphens, an adverb for some reason. I don't know how that got in there. Anyway, the point is, with all this variety, there's actually a surprising amount of potential for hilariously ambiguous villager titles, which can show us a lot about how compound words and adjectives work in English. I'll start with my own villager title because, well, I'm really proud of it. My villager wants to be known as Animal Consumer. I really think this is perfect because it should be terrifying to any villager because they're all animals. You get it. Okay, enough bragging about my clearly flawless title. I want to talk about why it works linguistically. Because of course, when you gain the consumer title, it's intended to refer to being a consumer of goods and looks cranny. But compound words in English have this fun little feature. They can change meaning depending on which type of compound word you're using. There are several categories of compound words, but the three most common in English are copulative, determinative, and possessive. New Horizons clearly expects us to interpret all of their potential word combinations as copulative compounds. In other words, a compound where both words are of pretty much equal weight. Some good examples of this are student-teacher or actor-director. New Horizons clearly expects us to use animal in this way by saying, for example, I'm a loner who also happens to be an animal, or a stylist who also happens to be an animal. But some of these compounds lead our brain to see things more determinatively. Determinative compounds occur when the first word acts more like an adjective describing the second noun. For instance, a coffee cup is not an item that is simultaneously a cup and coffee, it's a cup that is used for coffee. Determinative compounds often follow this a y that is for x pattern. So sure, an animal consumer could be a consumer who is also an animal, or it could be a consumer of animals. Some other fun examples I found of this are night owl authority, like are you an authority who also likes to stay up late, or are you the authority over people who stay up late? And novice crusher, like are you a new person who's just really crushing it, or are you someone who gets some sick pleasure out of crushing new people? Other titles are clearly supposed to be adjective-noun combinations, but they can change meaning depending on how you parse them. For example, is very first bill payer the first person who paid their bill, or a person who only paid their very first bill? Are you a music lover who's unique, or do you love music that's unique? Maybe you only solve problems that you think are soothing. Or perhaps you only like bugs that you caught by mistake. When you describe a two-word phrase, you run the risk of your reader associating the descriptor with the wrong word, which is what makes these phrases fun. For some titles, it's not so much about the syntax of the phrase. For those of you who hate diagramming sentences, you can relax now, that section's over. No, with some titles, it's semantic ambiguity that trips us up, which is to say at least one of the words involved has an alternate meaning. Here's a rapid-fire segment of some examples. Smartphone cleaner sounds like a special solution for cleaning your phone screen. Small fry consumer is what I am when I get to the bottom of a box of fries. To be an active crybaby, you don't need to work out, you just need to cry regularly. A pocket model can be a tiny model who could fit in your pocket, or it can be someone who just models pockets specifically. Of course, for every pocket model, you need a pocket designer too. A comparative enthusiast is someone who gets really excited about words ending in ER. A crafty ghost may not be into arts and crafts, but they're probably pretty cunning. A crafty moneybags sounds like a movie villain from the 1960s. An aggressive loner may actually be pretty nice, but their loneliness needs to be truly excessive. And lastly, a responsible resident isn't just a resident who takes good care of things. No, responsible resident is what they call me when everyone's like, okay, who put all these turtles everywhere? Is it Bex? Is she the responsible resident? Sometimes semantic ambiguity gives a phrase a whole new meaning. Like pocket cleaner could be a product that's designed to clean pockets specifically, or it could be a hip new slang term for someone who steals all your money. Down and out force just sounds like someone trying to describe centrifugal motion.
It's like this force that's like pulling you down, or like feels like it's pulling you down, but it's actually like really pulling you out, you know, like a down and out force.
And friendship foul sounds like a sadder, more terrible party foul.
She didn't tell me that I had spinach in my teeth before my job interview. Friendship foul.
Finally, let's look at participles. For those of you who haven't thought about participles since high school and you have a voice in the back of your head going, dang it, I know what a participle is, just give me a second. I won't keep you in suspense any longer. A participle is an adjective that stems from a base verb, usually by adding ing or ed. As any English speaker knows, participles aren't the only thing that end in ed. That's also the default ending for our past tense verbs. So there are some adjectives on this list that look like they could be a participle or a past tense verb, depending on what word you pair them with. For example, does discovered coconut mean you are a coconut that got discovered? Or is it like an accomplishment that you're really proud of, so you wanted to put it on your ID? Like, I am the one who discovered coconut. Another one that I like is connected. Of course, the intended meaning of connected is something along the lines of immersed in the community, but what if you're using connected in the past tense? For example, maybe you want to brag about the fact that you connected 2 pieces of grass. I don't know, that's pretty impressive. Of course, I couldn't just stop at simple linguistic analysis of potential villager titles. I had to gather quantitative data to see if other people were hyperanalyzing the potential linguistic hilarity of each word, and yeah, no, they weren't. I mean, some of the titles that you guys shared were really funny, but not necessarily because of linguistic ambiguity. But I did find some interesting things. Within my small sample size of 29 people, full-fledged was the most common selection for word number 1. This makes a lot of sense because full-fledged just kind of acts as an intensifier for whatever word comes after it, so it kind of works with anything. So-called was also pretty popular, which I think has to do with that like millennial self-deprecating humor. Like we can't just compliment ourselves, we have to buffer it with something silly. And that brings us to our most common selection for word number 2, drumroll please, it's trash! Who's surprised? I'm not. 21% of participants selected trash as their second word. Again, not too surprising considering that most of the people who responded to my queries on social media are millennials. Yep, it looks like even when we want to just chill and have some positive vibes with a nice game of Animal Crossing, we still can't resist the amusement of literally trash talking ourselves. So that's it for my linguistic analysis of Animal Crossing titles. I actually learned a lot about compound nouns while researching for this video, and I hope you guys learned something too. If you play New Horizons, let me know what your character's title is in the comments below. I'd love to add more titles to my data and maybe even post an updated version of that chart on Twitter. Hint hint, sheccabaw, go follow me, maybe, I don't know, if you want to. If you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe because I put out videos every other Friday. Thanks so much for watching. See ya.